The best date I ever had was with my high school bully. I showed up at the restaurant 5 minutes early, spotted Patrick at the table. The same Patrick who pointed out the toothpaste stain on my shirt and made everyone call me Colgate for 4 years. I approached him cautiously, bracing myself for the worst. But he just looked up, flashed the warmest smile I'd ever seen on his face, and introduced himself like we'd never met before. Because to him, we hadn't. I looked completely different back then. 60 pounds heavier, thick glasses, braces, horrible acne. I went by my full name that nobody uses anymore, so I definitely get it. But the fact that he couldn't recognize the girl he'd bullied made this date so much more interesting. Patrick, right? I asked, playing along. It's really nice to meet you too. Tell me more about yourself. I stared at him, wondering if he'd actually changed or if the old Patrick was hiding underneath. And after a bit of small talk, I started testing him. I kept it subtle at first, mentioning things from our hometown, referencing things that happened back in high school, but he just nodded along, smiling at the nostalgia. There was no recognition, no ounce of guilt, not even any of that arrogance I used to see, just kindness, and it felt wrong, so I tested him more. I knocked over my glass of wine, splashing it all over his expensive suit and tie. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I've never been so clumsy before in front of anyone. I gasped out a lie, waiting for him to crash out like he used to. It's fine, he said. I mean it. This can be our cute, clumsy origin story. He grinned through the cheesy line. Then he started dabbing at the stain with a napkin and flagged down a waiter to get me another drink. He didn't blame me once. Each mistake I made, he flipped it around and turned it into a lighthearted joke. Even when I stole the menu from his hands and ordered the weirdest thing for him, he just laughed it off and thanked me for the recommendation. I mean, who the heck was this guy sitting across from me? I was stuck between feeling impressed and kinda offended that he wasn't the same terrible guy from years ago, because suddenly, this petty little revenge didn't feel as good as I wanted it to. I ran out of ways to test him and ended up spending the rest of dinner just having a normal, casual, romantic date with my bully. And it didn't even end there. After paying for the bill, Patrick suggested we go on a bit of a walk. We were strolling down the street when he suddenly stopped and removed his jacket. I stood there blushing, waiting for him to place it over my shoulders like some scene from a movie. Instead, he walked over to a homeless man sitting against a building, shivering in the cold, and handed the coat to him. I watched the man's eyes fill with tears as he thanked Patrick loudly. That was the moment I gave up. He won. Those 4 years of torture, my little revenge plan, all of it just disappeared. After that night, we met up for a couple of more dates. Then I made a fatal decision. I invited him to meet my parents. He immediately said yes, but looking back now, I really wish he hadn't. We got to my childhood home and my parents loved him immediately. Who wouldn't? He was the only guy I introduced to them who laughed along to their stories and played all their crazy family games. You've really found yourself a keeper, Mom told me, and I agreed. The whole night went on smoothly. Then it happened. I stepped out of the living room for just a moment. When I came back, my parents had my old high school yearbook out in the open, and Patrick wasn't smiling anymore. I glanced at the open page and my heart sank. Sophomore year homecoming. The worst version of me staring up at both of us. He looked at me and I watched the pieces click together in his head. The hometown references, the high school stories, all of it. Why didn't you tell me? He asked, looking completely betrayed. Tell you what, that I was Colgate girl? I laughed and crossed my arms. What's the problem? Feeling sick knowing you're dating the school loser? I asked sharply. His expression looked even more hurt. You think that's what's bothering me? I was real with you from the start. I thought we were building a relationship, but that's not what you wanted, is it? The spilled wine, the stolen menu, the weird food. This was all some twisted revenge game, wasn't it? Date me, then dump me? He paused. I was a terrible person in high school. I went through some rough times and took it out on everyone else, and I've spent every moment trying to make up for it. But this pain, this heartbreak, I wouldn't wish it even on my worst enemies. He got up and apologized to my parents for ruining the evening. He grabbed his jacket and walked out the front door. I followed him out and called his name just as he reached his car. You're right, I said. I was testing you, but at some point it stopped being a game. I actually started liking you. He didn't say anything. Can we start over? I asked. A real date, no tricks. He looked at me for a long moment. He frowned. I'll think about it, he said. Then he drove off.